What's up, everybody? Back with another episode of What Was I Saying? And today we're going to broadly speak about a culmination of several topics and how they intersect. And it's really around how echo chambers are killing us, right? Echo chambers are destabilizing the ability to have nuanced conversation. Echo chambers make it hard to meet in the middle ground and have an understanding with somebody. It causes people to overlook the facts and continue to seek out the confirmation bias within certain social media circles, right? Particularly groups where your algorithm is feeding the content that you see and it's built around like-minded communities. And that pops up in regards to legal issues. It pops up in regards to political issues, e.g., all Republicans are this way, all Democrats are this way, if you're black, you're a Democrat, etc., etc., black Republican bad. It pops up in dating, especially because now you have a narrative that says, hey, this person, I'm a man, well, my dating life is terrible because women suck, and I'm a woman, so my dating life sucks because men are terrible. And in all of those cases, people fail to grasp the effect of their viewpoint in searching for that material, and how algorithms on platforms such as YouTube, where I'm posting this video, are going to show them like-minded views and material that favors their views that they've expressed before. And when you have a short attention span, you're going to click on that thing immediately that shows, hey, this is what I like, I'm going to keep going for it, right? So again, it would be disingenuous for me to say all people are one way, right? With statistics saying if I meet 100 people, if I walk up to 100 women and I say, hey, how you doing? Can I have your phone number? One of them is probably going to give me their phone number, right? The same thing with the woman. If she dates 100 men, I would say that one of those guys was decent. And to say that that's not the case, again, very disingenuous. Nothing's 100% one way or the other, which also leads to another place within statistics, how people can readily misuse it. They quote some facts to support their viewpoint, and it's taken totally out of context. Or you say, hey, people who, I don't know, wear this brand of shoe are more likely to die. That's a fake statistic. Don't take that at face value, just using an extreme example. They'll take that and, hey, oh, okay, well, correlation is causation. That's not the case. There could be some confounding variables or other pieces of the puzzle that you don't understand. You're just looking at a measurable fact, what's observable, but there are so many things that are difficult to measure, which can confound what your outcome is, or just basically skew anything that you're trying to present. You highlight these numbers and say, oh, well, your case in point, I'm a black guy, so I see channels where they'll talk about, black men aren't shit. Black men ain't doing anything in the community. We're just terrible, right? Hey, that may be their experience, but that's not everybody's experience. And that's the problem with the echo chamber. You extrapolate that to an entire group. Say, hey, well, my limited experience has been this. Even if your experience has been within a certain area, hey, that's still very limited. It's not a totally random sample. If we're gonna use statistics, the best way for you to understand whether or not that's the case is if you were to randomly select a group of men, right, to make any man in the country, whether they're East Coast, West Coast, South, North, whatever, if they're equally likely to be selected, then hey, you can see that there's some random distribution there. You're gonna run into somebody that may vibe with you. But to say, oh, well, these people are this way because I've interacted with this, it's terrible, right? And one thing I'm gonna also mention as an article that I'm gonna put up here, and I'm gonna put a link down below, it's talking about echo chambers and how platforms that are built around social groups that are like-minded have a higher bias towards the echo chamber and the creation of said echo chambers. Sites like Facebook and Twitter, right? So you're gonna have that confirmation bias you seek, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll get into that a little bit more, but also to go on the flip side, because I want to be as fair as I can and impartial, is to say even on some of these channels, I've seen men talk shit about women. Like one guy, Fresh and Fit, I believe is the name of the podcast, there was a short that said, women are smarter because before they leave a guy, they have another guy lined up. To which I responded in the comments, really? You don't think men do that as well? That's the characteristic of somebody who's insecure in themselves, who is codependent and has an inability to break away from somebody and be with themselves. So they use people as bridges, right? Little gaps to get from one point to another. That can happen on the male or female side of the man or the woman. So on those sides, I see extreme viewpoints as well. And the thing is, whether or not those content creators believe this, who knows? But the algorithm is feeding polarization because false news, Fake news spreads faster because it's at the extremes. And if somebody has limited attention span, they look at this data, they look, oh, this is a confirmation of what I already thought, so I'm going to click on that, I'm going to spread it. You've got all these people who become vitriolic towards one group or the other, and it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a lot of people impartial without taking a moment to say and have a nuanced conversation. Everything in life can't be solved in 20 fucking characters or 140 characters or less. It's preposterous. And most people in these cases, they will ignore facts, right? That's another thing they said. How do you know if you're in an echo chamber? Well, do a lot of people have the same viewpoint? Or opposing viewpoints brought up? Is it very emotional if there is a discussion? Are facts that oppose that established view, are they ignored or are they embraced? If you could say yes to one of those, you might be in an echo chamber. Hell, I've been guilty of it, right? You want to hang around like-minded people, these affinity groups, etc., but that can reinforce your own bias. That's just the reality, right? And the other negative effect of these groups is that once you find a group of like-minded people who come together and they say, hey, this other group of people sucks, that confirmation bias, it reinforces the group, right? It reinforces their belief, so they become more invested in it and they move to even more extreme positions, right? Because their views are being reinforced by interactions with like-minded people. So that extremist goalpost just keeps moving further and further and further away. Same thing on the other side, it's further and further and further away. Nobody wants to have a conversation about the reality of things. Nobody wants to be like, yo, we should probably just calm down and take a moment to understand what's really impacting us and how we can be conditioned to do things without being aware of that, right? We love social media. You look at your news feed, probably don't have views of people who don't look like you or have a different political view, right? Because you just feel good in this little comfortable space. So it's weird that we want to address the world's problems like, hey, let's all create this togetherness, when in our networks where we can decide who we affiliate with, we would rather not associate with people of an alternate viewpoint. That's insane. And again, it's quite frustrating to me because look, I've been in bad spots, been in good spots, but I would never sit here and say, oh, well, you know what, all these people are this or all these people are that. So it's just frustrating to me because I know dope men, I know dope women, I know dope people all around, and somebody wants to use their viewpoint to project on everybody else. It's insane, right? And so that's another thing I'm gonna try to do. Like, hey, everybody has a hot take, right? A hot take. What I'm gonna do when I continue to create these videos, right? We'll see how regular my release schedule is. That remains TBD. But we'll try to provide some facts and data behind that instead of just living life in a total opinion space. Everybody has an opinion about something. Hell, you watch the news, you rarely get just the facts. You get somebody interjecting their opinion to say, hey, this heinous act, all these things, and they're like this person, and they're in their head like they know what happened because they know it's gonna draw somebody on one end of the spectrum or another. There is ad revenue there, people eyes on screen, they make money. Hey, at the end of the day, most things that end up fucking people in the long run, they were probably started because, hey, you know what, somebody's like, what's the motto, right? As long as you get that money, that's what they say. It doesn't matter. Get your bag, young man. Secure the bag. Without realizing that sometimes peddling of misinformation and selling things to prey on people's insecurities and their inability to be reflected and look at themselves and grow, it fucks them in the long run. It screws them up in the long run. So we have to consider that. Like, yo, look at what you're consuming with regards to information. Take a moment to just pause. Ask yourself, all right, let me search. In fact, you know what? Search for something different on YouTube. Search for like a positive group, right? That says maybe men are great, women are great. Don't go search for the bullshit that people are shilling out and half of them don't even live these lives. It's ridiculous. Because if you are, it's just crazy. It's just insane to me. Because again, that middle ground is just eroding. It's gone. It's like, what are we standing on? Pretty much nothing. And I feel like that is spiraling out and shooting out in different areas in our lives. And it was possible to have those forming before, but social media exacerbates that, right? It can increase the rate in which these are formed, right? They may seem innocuous, harmless at first. Oh, this is just nothing crazy, and then it grows into something else, right? So I think being comfortable with being uncomfortable is something we need to work on. The world isn't going to conform to us. So in an ability to be uncomfortable, have a disagreement in a polite way, look at the facts and say, hey, don't let so much of what you do be only based on your opinion of something. Try to have more fact-based conversations, right? Say, you know what? We can disagree on this, but let's talk about the facts, right? What does this say? What are the facts of this? Like, what's the data saying? Like, what can we empirically prove as opposed to an emotion? Because you're feeling that's within you. So, where where your loyalties lie and whatever your beliefs are, that system, it's hard to move that. But having a conversation, more conversations around fact versus groups that are just reinforcing based on opinion or cherry pick facts could go a long way in helping us. But that's my stance. I just had to get that on my chest. The algorithm is basically screwing people because you're just going down this rabbit hole. And if you find a vast amount of content supporting your maybe extreme view, it can lead again to that confirmation bias. You're seeking out information and you're moving to a more extreme viewpoint without realizing it, right? It can subtly move you from in the middle to way out in the extremes. And maybe you're past the goalpost, like you're in the parking lot, right? But you don't even realize that because you've constantly surrounded yourself with people who don't disagree, or if they do disagree, you call them a hater, you block them, but that's not healthy for anybody at all. We're just challenging each other to grow. We got one life to live. We're all on this planet together. So let's see if we can be more cordial and figure out a way to interact in a better space. So that's my thought. Again, if you like the video, go ahead and like it, please. It helps, right? More thumbs up means more visibility. And if you like the other videos that I posted, I try to do it on a somewhat regular basis. Please go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell button for notifications, and heck, go ahead and share this video with a friend. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Links, as I said, will be below. And until next time, you take care. Have a great day, and please remember, look for the middle ground.